Well, Xolani, a very good evening to you, and thank you for your time. So the ANC, in the statement out today, says that these emails are a calculated maneuver to defocus and detract from the immediate task of socio-economic issues and dealing with the challenges of the country's economy. Is that an accurate reading? Do you agree?
I think that's a very twisted kind of thinking, because those emails, they deal with the reputation of the president. And moreover than that, is about the issue of moral and ethic leadership in our country. And also is very important for these emails to be taken serious, because at the end of the day, we will know who's handling this politician, meaning that we will be aware of the power behind the power.
And with that in mind, then, I want to ask you about the risk coming from this, because the ANC in its statement today has not given any indication that it's actually sought to verify the contents of these emails, just giving a denial, basing it on what we've heard from the presidency. So what is the risk to the party based on this strategy?
You have to bear in mind, Temba, that once we were informed about the Gupta emails, the ANC tried to spin those emails. But people who claim to be the 101 and the civil society movement, they felt those emails that must be taken, must be viewed from a serious perspective. And so it's very confusing now that we have emails that detailed the kind of illicit funding that made Cyril Ramaphosa to become the president of the ANC. But now we are told that we need not really take this email serious, but we have to question the legality in terms of how these emails were obtained. And so it shows that in our country, the people who are really at the receiving end is us people who are not the means, who don't own the means of production. Because the narrative now, it seems as if those who are in the elite, the ruling elite, they are controlling the narratives in our country as well as the discourse. They are telling us what is wrong and what is right, of which I don't think that we need to have alternative facts when it comes to morality and ethical leadership. If Cyril receive illicit fundings, just like we throw stones to Jacob Zuma, we have to throw stones to him. He must account, and we must tell him that he is not fit to lead us if really he did receive those illicit funds from the donors who wanted him to be the president of the ANC.
And I suppose at the heart of this, a lot has been made about how, and even in the presidency's denial or reaction at least to these emails yesterday, Kusala Diko speaking on ENCA, the argument is about whether the president has been involved in any act that is against the law or that is criminal. But ethically, has that been explored enough? Have we explored enough the ethical risk and possible compromise on the part of the president here?
Look, you know, for a number of South Africans, they are starting to doubt this veil that Cyril is wearing of being an upright person. Because in front of the public, he went to the South African institution, of which is the parliament. He flip-flopped there about the issue of Bosasa. And now it also confuses us that why there is supposed to be someone who's employed by the South African government, Kusela Diko, to be the one who is there at the forefront to try to spin this. Why is not the ANC that is supposed to lead this discourse of illicit fundings that went into an account that was aimed to propel President Cyril Ramaphosa to be the president of the country? And so I think also even there, it shows that there is kind of cleavages in the ANC There are those who want to speak for the president of the country, and the ANC on this other side, of which this issue must be dealt with the secretary of the ANC. He must tell us the truth. If there is any money that went into that account and how this person is supposed to account, because it shows really that if people capture the ANC, they've captured the country. We've seen it with Guptas, and now the so-called one monopoly capitalists are doing it with Cyril. And so it questions the role of the ANC in our society. It seems as if ANC is becoming kind of a toxic institution, and an institution that might not be deserving to lead South Africa now and even in the future.
But we know then, Xolani Dube, why it is that the ANC is unable to put this matter to rest, or at least settle it for the rest of us. That's because the party, old as it is, has no clear mechanism, no clear policy in place as far as the funding that is given to individuals who contest elections internally is concerned. And you have to wonder why it is that a party as old as the ANC, around more than 100 years, has not worked on a mechanism that would prevent perceived or actual compromise resulting from campaign donations.
Look, the ANC has been telling us South Africans that people must not buy voters. And on top of that, those who are using money to ascend to the leadership position must be exposed, meaning that using money to ascend into the leadership position of the ANC, you are contravening the morals and ethics, even the unwritten rules of the ANC, of saying don't use money to ascend into leadership position, but use your own personal and political objective qualities. But in this case, Thembekile, we need to be very worried if really the multinational companies are funding someone to become the leader of the ANC, because it shows now that the ANC is the Trojan horse that can be used by any person in order to have an access to our natural resources, of which to a certain extent, if you look at those emails, some of those culprits currently are sitting comfortable in terms of finance, in terms of advising us on how to deal with our energy problem. And so that is very discomforting to a number of us.
But the ANC, again, I want to go back to the statement, just on what you are saying, again, in reaffirming its support for President Cyril Ramaphosa. It speaks of how his leadership really has been up to the highest, if you will. They say, in fact, that Ramaphosa's leadership has been defined by moral and high ethical conduct. So how do we merge those two ideas then, given that so much is still up in the air on this issue? We've got a pending court challenge, we've got all these leaked emails, not much clarity.
I think the whole issue of the ANC it really is putting ANC in a bad light. It seems as if we as South Africans, we are reliving again what they've termed as the 9 wasted years. And now, these 9 wasted years that we are going to be embarking upon is going to be led by Cyril. And so, as I'm saying, if we are going to look at the issue of Jacob Zuma and Cyril in isolation, we are not going to do a serious prognosis. The prognosis is to look at the institution that produces such kind of headache for the South Africans. And we have to ask ourselves, what makes this institution to become so twisted, so inhumane, so immoral and unethical, to an extent that it can be captured by any other person except those whom it was conceived to liberate?
All right, Xolani Dube joining us from our Durban studios tonight. Thank you.